I started out using a wooden canvas, then I used my hot foam cutter to cut some styrofoam and make the landscape. Here I just quickly melted away the rock face to make this porous looking surface. Once the landscape was glued in place, I decided to add a few pieces of corkboard just to add a little more texture to the base. Then I busted out some air dry clay, rolled it into thin sheets, and then with a little bit of white glue watered down, I started to glue it in place to make the sandy desert bed here. I decided to leave the cracks a little bit rugged, like almost like the sand was breaking up. Then I used some foil wrap and my hands to give it a little more texture. I gotta say, this was looking pretty good for a quick bit of work. Then I decided to add a little bit of rubble and rocks and stuff, so various size rocks were just glued randomly all over this thing. Next up, a heavy base coat. I did the rocks in a little bit more of a yellow type color. It was this battle from Season 1 that inspired this build, so I'm going to try to recreate my version of this setting. Then it was time to mix together some Mod Podge, water, and a whole bunch of Deco Art paints, and I just washed this thing a whole bunch of different colors. I went with a really dark brown along the cliff faces and then added a little bit of black in it again. Once this dried, I did the whole thing with a heavy coat of brown. And I quickly dry brushed the rock faces a little bit just to add a little more depth to the color. Then it was time to break out the Mobius airbrush. This is a brand new airbrush by Gallery and I was really excited to try it out. So all this work was just to get to this point. Then I mixed my paints a little bit transparent and gave the whole thing a coat in desert yellow. Once it was done, I gave the whole thing a coat in skeleton bone, and this was really starting to look like what I had in my mind. I protected it all with some Army Painter matte varnish. Then I decided to make a wall. I had this really nice corrugated cardboard, a little bit of foam. Then I decided to add a little bit of damage to this wall. And then I quickly painted it up using the colors of the board itself. So I started with a brown base coat, added some desert yellow, and then a little bit of skeleton bone at the end. We're going to load the printer up with some Aceaddity Resin and we're going to get these Halo miniatures printed. So I'm going to be using my Sonic Muddy 4K from Frozen, and I'm going to be using Voxel Dance Tango. Now this is a really nice slicer program, and you can see here one of my favorite features and something that it does really well is once you load all your models in it, you don't have to worry about it. You can just go up and hit the auto arrange. Now this actually works really well, better than a lot of slicers that I've used. It places it all on the bed really nicely. Then I went ahead and sliced it. You can see my settings here. Then I like to chase it up to see how it's going to look. You can do that in 2D and you can do it in a 3D view. Once that was all good to go, I pretty much exported it in my file type for my printer, loaded it into my printer, selected the file, hit go, and we're off to the races. Again, this printer just works fantastically. And then finally the third print, and no fails whatsoever. All the supports worked, everything adhered to the bed, clean, crisp prints. Now I got a new toy. It's my Frozen Mighty Wash Machine. I was really excited to try this out. This thing is huge, and you can see I saved up all my prints and I loaded everything into the basket. All the little ones went into another basket, and that basket went in the basket. I set this for high around 5, 6, 7 minutes. I found pretty good. This time I hit 8. And you can see here, these two jets, these two fans really move this alcohol around. Then I pulled it all from the supports before I cured it, because I find it does less damage to the miniatures here. Make sure you wear gloves if you're doing this though, because it's not fully cured. Then into my another new toy, the Frozen Mega Cure Station. One time, everything went in. I hit 4 minutes, but this thing is really powerful. I probably could have cut this down to 3. Thinking next time I will. And just like that, it was time to assemble. Now, I got to say, Aceaddity Resin has been working great for me. I've been using it for like 2 months now. I'm going to link it in the description below. Check it out. It's really affordable. Next up was to base coat everything in black. Again, I use my gallery airbrush, and this is my favorite part. This quick dry brush of gray makes all the details pop in these wonderful minis, which, by the way, are all completely free. I'll link them below as well. Even the vehicles got a base coat, and it was at this point I realized I forgot to print the turret and I forgot to print the wings for the Ghost. So I threw them on the printer and got painting. Now I'm thinking about releasing the full painting tutorial for all these miniatures. If that's something you're interested in, smash subscribe. You'll probably catch that video in about a week. Again, the gallery airbrush here worked really well. I'm really happy with that airbrush. It's super affordable. This link below, awesome, can't recommend it enough. Come quick Army Painter speed paints, and I got these things looking pretty good pretty quickly. Here's the Spartans. I went with green and blue for these guys. Covenant, all painted up. Guys, I gotta thank my Patreons. You guys are awesome. You guys helped this channel a whole lot. The wash and cure machine was filled up with alcohol that I purchased using the funds from Patreon. Thanks so much. It really means a lot. Here we go, the Warthog. This is an amazing miniature. Just like that, everything was painted. I've been going pretty hardcore, and the facility is an absolute disaster at the moment, but the terrain is done, the diorama base is done, and all the miniatures are done, and now this is the best part of every project. I get to put all this together. I got to say, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think I really nailed what I was going for there. I'm looking forward to season 2. Here's hoping that Master Chief keeps his helmet on. Ton of fun. This diorama turned out really cool. I'm really happy with it. There's some awesome videos on my channel. Make sure to check them out. I'll catch you on the next one.